I'm Mom Birella.
And I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief. So get your wands to the ready because
We solemnly swear we're up to no good.
Wait, we're trying to get this started. We'll get it by the time.
We were doing it the opposite way. Sorry. So we're trying something new since our syncing was a little off. I'm not used to live streaming. For those who know me, my Mom Birella stuff's usually very edited. So this is our new thing. So, and of course, CJ Peterson, if you don't follow her yet, she does all her stuff live, which is great. And so she's teaching me the ways of live streaming and podcasting. So
we'll get there. It's okay. Today we have a special guest, Melanie Kohn. Hopefully Duncan Watson will be joining us shortly. Melanie was the voice of Lucy Van Pelt when she was younger, and Duncan Watson was the voice of Charlie Brown. So we're excited to have him today. But before we start, Mombi, what do you have coming up? Or what do we?
Of course. Wait, this week?
Next week.
Next week, yes.
This week.
So we have, of course, we have Comic-Con coming up in 10 days, and that's going to be huge. So a lot of new stuff was worked out for that, and we're super excited. I'm not at liberty to say that there may or may not be a Wednesday flash mob moment, just a thought that, might happen, I don't know, on one of those days. So
we both intend on being a Wednesday on Sunday, so come find us.
And of course, we'll both be there. We'll have tables and stuff set up there, which is awesome.
We'll have a panel on Sunday.
And Magic Making Mischief will be covering, vendors and actors. I think we've got of course, we've covered this. If y'all haven't seen the interview or heard the interview, that's one of our earlier podcast ones that we did. So
he's coming next week to announce a preview of potentially who will be coming next week.
Yes, for next year's guest. So that'll be fun.
So Melanie, though, was at Comic-Con last year.
Last year, yes. And so that's how we met. And actually, I got to do her panel last year. So that was fun.
Very cool. So Miss Melanie, what was it like doing Lucy when you were younger? That would be
well, from a kid's perspective, it was basically just, I went into the studio and I worked with Bill Melendez, and he did the lines of whoever I was supposed to be talking to. And so I basically just did like 3 words at a time because they want it to sound authentic. They always use kids for peanuts. So, they want it to sound, they use 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and they want it to sound authentic. So they wanted it to be a little choppy because some of us, we spoke a little bit more fluently, and they wanted it to sound like they were little kids actually talking to each other.
So do you have a favorite Peanuts movie?
I do. I like it's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown, because I think it's really fun when Snoopy's dancing with the bunnies. I just think he goes into the sugar egg and he dances with the bunnies, and I just think it's really cute.
That is adorable. So is there any role that you wanted to play, that you really wanted to, but you haven't quite gotten the chance to?
Not really. I mean, I as a kid, I just kind of basically did what I went in to do. And I didn't really, I was so young. I didn't really know.
And I think it was interesting actually that your sister also did Lucy's voice before you. Is that right?
Yes.
Hi, girl. Works hard. Oh, and Miss Queen too. Hi.
We have Works Hard for MK3 and Miss Queen Nunu joining us today. So thank you guys for coming.
I just got distracted by that. Yeah, my sister voiced Lucy before I did, and then she retired at about 12 years old, and so I went into audition. They had me go into audition for Sally and Lucy, and my voice was too deep for Sally and too high for Lucy, but they let me work into it. And a lot of people ask me, or they say, they want to keep it in the family, but I find it interesting that the voices have changed so much, and especially at the beginning with Pamela. Her name is escaping me now. Furden. She has the most unique voice. She doesn't sound like nobody sounds like her. So they really weren't keeping the voice consistent. So, and they rarely used siblings. So I don't know. I really don't know the reasoning behind that, but I did definitely have to audition for the part.
So that's a unique twist on it for you guys, that you guys are one of the few that have that. That's kind of cool.
Well, it was interesting to me because, like you said, the voices did sound different. There was a distinction, but as a kid, I never remember even noticing the distinction. It was just Lucy, and I went back later and I'm like, I guess there was, but as a kid, you just accept that's the character, that's who that is. And I don't remember ever noticing a real distinction between voices. So it just was Lucy. You recognize the voice, and I guess maybe the age had something to do with it. Like you said, they always kept the children roles as children. And so that was
if you go back and listen to the first, the first ones, I'm not sure exactly which specials she was in, but towards the beginning, like after the Christmas and Halloween, around that era, or a little bit after that era, you'll definitely hear the difference.
So which ones are you Lucy for?
It's a Mystery Charlie Brown, You're a Good Sport Charlie Brown, Be My Valentine Charlie Brown. It's the Easter Beagle Charlie Brown and the movie Race for Your Life Charlie Brown.
Wow. And your sisters were which ones?
I'm not sure. I know she was in Snoopy Come Home. I apologize. I don't have it memorized.
No,
I didn't memorize it until I got into this a couple of years ago. I didn't. I'm
impressed that you got the ones that you were in. So,
well, I know now because I've repeated it so many times and it's on my banner. So,
Yeah.
By the way, Duncan can't get in and he said he needs a call-in number and I don't know what to tell him.
Okay, you mean that you deal with that?
Yeah, I need to talk for a second.
No worries. Okay, so I'm going to switch around the question she asked you before. So if you could have picked a different character in the Peanuts to do, would you have had another one that you would have picked other than Lucy during that time?
Probably Sally. People ask me if I identify with Lucy. And I'm like, not at all. Not in the least. And then, they ask me, well, which character do you identify with the most? And I would have to say Sally. Because, she was a little bit boy crazy. And I was, as a kid, I was definitely boy crazy and just, very, and I was really outgoing, but I was, and when it comes to bullying or being bullied, I was definitely on the receiving end.
Oh, that's I tease my daughter actually because I've got two, a boy and a girl, and she's the older sister, and she always kind of had the Lucy flair.
Yeah, my sister looked more like Lucy. I mean, I've had red hair, like I'm a redhead. This is not naturally curly red hair. But my sister, dark, and she had the dark hair, and we both have curly hair, and she was like always trying to get me in trouble. Being the older sister, being 2 years older than me. Hey, there he is.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Duncan. For those just joining us or who have been with us, we've got Duncan Watson, who is the voice of Charlie Brown. So we've got Lucy and Charlie Brown in the studio. So sorry about the difficulties, Duncan.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Awesome.
Well, we're so glad to have you today.
Awesome. Sorry, Melanie, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. Just, like as far as identifying with, I would, I'd have to say Sally more than anything.
So, Duncan, since we have you, what was your favorite Charlie Brown movie?
You were having
very noisy in this place. I'll try to get outside. There, is that better?
Yes, much better.
So
what was better for you?
Yes, can you hear us now?
Yeah, you can see where I am out here.
Oh, wow.
That's gorgeous.
That's beautiful.
Yes,
where is this at? Is this at a ski lodge?
It's Okemo, Vermont.
Okay. Wow, that's so pretty. My husband loves to ski, so he may have to put that on the short list.
Yeah. One time I went skiing, I had more bruises than anything on my body. So
I ski very well if you compare me to Goofy, you know. But you know, it's like it's good, it's fine. Yeah.
I can go, but I can't stop. So like going down those hills and stuff is very terrifying for me.
I found trees are good for that stuff.
I'm ready for the price. So Duncan, what was your favorite Charlie Brown movie?
Well, I mean, I only did one movie. Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown's my obvious answer for that. But I've got a particular fondness for Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown. It's, you know, it was one of the last sort of iconic days that was left by the time that I got around to being Charlie Brown. So, you know, it was also my first one. So that one's near and dear to my heart.
Oh, very cool. So I know that you guys have started doing some Comic-Cons. How is that working for you?
Well, it's great. I mean, it's so humbling to sort of open yourself up to this world that you know, was heretofore unbeknownst to me. And after Melanie started doing it and invited me along to tag along to one of these, you know, and then meeting all the people for whom Peanuts is just such a huge part of their lives is it's nothing short of amazing to be exposed to that, because I really had no idea.
It's huge. Melanie?
I had no idea either. I did my first show almost 2 years ago, and then there was a big chunk of time in between. I didn't do my next show for about 7 months or so after that. So it's just been a little over a year and a half. And yeah, I had absolutely no idea. People, you know, I tell people all the time, because I'm questioned all the time about it. And, you know, they look at me like what? Like they don't believe me, but I had absolutely no idea how big it was. And, you know, same as what Duncan said, it's humbling. And, you know, people come up and they say, you know, the biggest thing we hear is, oh, my mom loves you, or I grew up with you. And, you know, it's like, even though I'm hearing it more and more and more, because I've done, you know, I did about 50 events last year. It just, you know, every time I hear it, it's like, you know, it just startles me, because I really, really had no idea how big it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you just say 50?
About, yeah, at least 50 last
That's
year.
a lot.
In 2020.
Con did a lot. That's a lot of shows.
Well, that's what my phone says. And, you know, when I go through, it's, yeah.
Wow.
So
I didn't even do that.
actually, at the panel at Comic-Con last year, you mentioned how you actually started finding special events that were peanut themed and contacting them and seeing if they wanted you to come out. And I thought that was interesting, actually. You were talking about Raising Cane's at one point, even had done something, right?
Yeah, and I got a couple things up my sleeve right now, which I don't want to say yet. I don't announce things until they're announced officially. But I did sign before the Astros game last year on Peanuts Night. I've done some, you know, I signed before a play, 3 performances up in DFW. For those who don't know, Dallas Fort Worth. And in the lobby of a theater before You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I found that Comic-Con, so to speak, are not always the best. Sometimes they work out great. Sometimes store signings are way better if they're promoted properly. If I'm the only guest, or we're the only guests, I find that it works out a lot better if it's Peanuts focused. I don't prospect big shows, because you know, I don't care to compete against A-listers. I know that there are Peanuts fans out there, and I think it's a lot of fun to be in a situation where it's targeted towards Peanuts fans, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What Melanie? What list did we agree that we were on?
The Z list.
The Z list.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I would say that.
No. So, Peanuts has always been
at least P for Peanuts, right? That's
Yeah, there you go. The P list.
There you go. Yeah, Peanuts. I mean, I grew up. Our daughter just told me, she's like, "Yeah, I don't remember watching any Peanuts." I said, "Oh, honey, we need to fix
no, you have failed."
I know I have failed. We're trying.
It's the thing that cracks. Yeah. The thing that cracks me up the most is when, a parent and child come up to me and the parent asks the child, "Oh, do you know Peanuts? Do you know Charlie Brown?" And the child says no. And then, "What? How do you not know?" And I feel like saying, "Well, it's your responsibility."
We're remedying that slowly but surely.
Right. Dude, actually, it's funny because when you first said that you were in the Easter Beagle Charlie Brown, I was like, we watched that every Easter for like over a decade with my kids. I remember that. I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome.
My it's always been the Christmas one. That one's always been good.
And the Halloween one, of course, the Halloween one.
Okay, and the Great That's my other favorite.
Yeah.
Those were the first two specials, and the Christmas one came out in 1965. I was born in 64, so when people ask me if I was in that one, I always make a joke. You think I'm that old?
Well, keeping within that age range too. Instead of like in a lot of anime, they'll have people do voice acting that do children's voices that are adults. And it was funny because my daughter was watching one, and there's two versions: one with adults doing the children's voices, and one with children doing the children's voices. And she's listening to both, and she goes, "I like the one with the real kids better." And so I can see why they would do that. That makes sense, I guess. But you don't really think about it a lot of times. They just kind of mix it up, I guess, nowadays. But
it seems more
yeah,
right.
So what's next on your list for you guys that you can tell us about?
I didn't hear that.
I said, what's next on your list that you can tell us about for you guys?
I'll be in Traders Village, Houston, this Saturday and Sunday, all day, as long as the flea market is open.
Very nice.
And we'll both be in at Dallas Alcon, March 16th to 19th.
Oh, there you go. That's a huge one. Good job.
I don't know. Well, we're the only guests. I know Stephanie Nadolny will be there on Thursday, but I don't see that there are any other voice actor or actor guests. So I don't know. I mean, it's big as far as there's a lot going on at that show, but I'm not familiar with the show. Maybe you can give us a little hint about it.
Keep talking and I'll see if I can find out, because usually that's a pretty big one.
Well, Duncan, I asked Melanie earlier if you could have portrayed a different character in the Peanuts. Was there a different one that you would have chosen?
Well, I mean, my favorite character has always been Pigpen, but I don't think Pigpen has any lines. And it's not because I identify with Pigpen. I just like the whimsical aspect of his character. He owns what he is, and he's okay with that.
I can only think of one line from Pigpen, and I think that was the Halloween episode, actually, where they're like, "Nice costume," and he goes, "Oh, how did you know it was me?"
Oh, okay. It does have a line.
That's the only line I can actually think of from him. That is true.
That's funny.
He doesn't normally talk, does he?
He doesn't talk a lot, I don't think. Yeah.
Something that I found out recently, actually, that within this last year, was that in You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, which is probably the most obscure one that both Melanie and I did, I played the voice of Franklin on that show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, surprised to me too.
You didn't know?
No, I mean, I was 12 years old when I did it, and they obviously just said, "Hey, read this line," and I did, and then they put that line in Franklin's character.
How funny.
There was another character in that particular special named Loretta that apparently I voiced too. I have no memory of it. I have no memory of a lot of things, and Duncan's had to fill in the blanks for a lot of stuff.
Well, obviously, my memory is very good because I thought you were older and a bully. So there you go.
Oh no!
Yeah, that story.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, I made up this whole story for like decades. I had this story about how Melanie was this really mean girl who used to steal our candy bars in the studio.
Oh my goodness!
It served my purpose as well for a long time, and then I got disabused of this notion, and I've had to completely redo my narrative.
That's crazy.
I told Duncan
stealing your candy bars.
When he told me that, I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way I would have done that."
That's so funny.
That sounds like fun though, growing up doing something like that, because it's definitely unique.
Yeah, I mean, and at the time, I don't know that you understand how unique it is. It's really only been into adulthood, and honestly, I mean, it's always been something that my kids thought was kind of cool. So that was, I've played that one for what it's worth. But it's really been, going into the Comic-Con world where you discover just, how. I mean, it's not like I didn't know that the Peanuts franchise isn't huge. I mean, it's a $1 billion+ business a year, but I just didn't understand the connection between the Comic-Con world and Peanuts, and the fans that come up to you. It's become overwhelmed when they're talking to you, and it's really gratifying to know that the fans are out there alive and well, and they want access.
Definitely. It always breaks my heart when they go to pull certain things off the shelves for viewing. And so I'm like praying that that never happens to Peanuts, because Peanuts is just, it's got a great foundation, and it's something that should not be discarded.
Well, I mean, Peanuts is evolving with time, like anything does. I mean, they've gone from the hand-drawn, cells and to the computer animated work. I think they still use kids for voice actors, but it's probably a little bit different how they do it now versus when they did it before. But they're adapting. But the Peanuts characters are not going anywhere in a hurry. I mean, I think they'll still be around 50 years from now because they're timeless.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys, each of you, do you have like a favorite memory from that time when doing that? I know you said part of it was gone, Melanie, but do you have a favorite one that's in there?
I would say just working, being picked up by Lee Mendelson. He would pick me up from school and drive me into the studio, which was like an hour each way. And I don't really remember. This is what I told Duncan, and what I tell people that ask. I don't know how we knew. I mean, Duncan says that we must have been in the studio one time together when we were singing a song, but we ran into each other outside of the studio, and I knew who he was. So, but I would say just Lee Mendelson reminded me a lot of my dad. And, so I just I really had a warm feeling towards him.
Oh, very cool. Duncan?
Well, I mean, so my story about, how I became Charlie Brown. I mean, Melanie was sort of, was already flirting with the business before, whereas I was, just happened to be at school one day, and there was a line outside of a classroom door. So I was coming in from recess, heading towards my class, and noticed there was a line there, and I just got in line. I didn't even know actually what the line was for, oddly enough, and I stood there, and then when I got to the front of the line, they were like, hi, welcome, come on in. What voice you want to read for? And I was like, I really don't even know why I'm here. And like, well, sit down, and we'll have you read for Charlie Brown. I was like, sounds good to me. And I read 2 lines, and they said, thank you very much. And I went back to class, and I didn't think anything more of it. I didn't even tell my parents about it when I got home, because it was so unremarkable. Then a couple weeks later, I got a call back, saying they wanted to do further voice testing, and they were going to pay me $50. And back in 1975, $50 was something.
$50 to a kid now is still something.
Absolutely. And
right.
So all of a sudden, that the excitement of what was going on started to really pick up pace, because I had access to $50, which I didn't have any way of making that kind of money under normal circumstances. So that sort of began that sort of weird ride. But the day that I'll never forget is the day that they called me to tell me that I was going to be the voice of Charlie Brown for Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown, because I had a number of people that were visiting from my extended family, and when we got off the phone, we sort of had an impromptu dance party, which was really fun.
Nice.
Was it Peanut style with the little da-da-da?
Oh, 100%. Of course, exactly like that. That's where they got the idea for the animation.
That's actually something my kids and me, like, every once in a while, be like, okay, now do the Peanuts dance. Da 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 da.
Yeah, now that's
it's funny that you say that, my favorite part about Peanuts in general is I absolutely adore the music, and thank you to Vince Guaraldi for making the sound, the music of Peanuts be so perfectly Peanuts.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely recognizable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, very
It's
cool.
my ringtone.
Is it really?
Is it really?
And a couple of times, no joke, I've said, like, my phone's in my purse, and I'll say to my husband, where's that coming from? Somebody's playing the music. And I'll go, answer your phone.
Actually, it's funny. One of my best friends is a huge Peanuts fan, especially Snoopy, and so her ringtone is actually the Peanuts theme
Oh, that's funny.
on her stuff. So it's funny. I was just saying, it's like, have you ever noticed anyone else have stuff like whenever y'all are just going around? Is it anything you've ever noticed in just normal life? And
I mean, I'll notice if it's playing in a store or something, and then if it's playing in a store, I'll go reach for my phone, and then vice versa. So I can never get it right.
That's kind of funny though. I don't know. I know we asked this question before and you said you kind of both just fell into it, but as far as maybe voice actors who were kids, do you have any advice for them in helping them to figure out how to maybe break into the Comic-Con scene or the event scene?
also, parents of kids who want to do it as well would
Mhm.
be something. If you had anything.
Just
Melanie's answer is clearly a little bit different than mine, but so my advice.
Jump into a line in school when you see it.
Well, yeah. So yes, I mean, I call that putting yourself in the path of beauty. You're going to get 100% of the things that you're not going to get 100% of the things that you don't sign up for or don't go for. So, so the thing about, the voice acting that I did is that, it was literally my 12-year-old voice at the time. That's what they were looking for. So I didn't have to occupy, another character. My voice was what they were looking for. So, with a lot of voice actors, they're going to want to develop, sort of these characters that they can voice in order to make themselves a little more versatile. Because, I mean, the chances of, being lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time to land a Charlie Brown gig is probably pretty slim. But, so the idea of, that I went and stood in line one day, that's kind of what you have to do if you want to become a voice actor. Find, a cast of characters that you can give voice to for your auditions, and then go out and audition and audition and audition and audition, and hopefully you get lucky.
Good deal.
Nice, yeah.
Melanie, do you have anything you want to add?
Oh, just, from the perspective of a parent, if your child wants to do something, if they have a dream, if they want to pursue something, the kid doesn't know what to do to get into it. So the parents really have to support their kids' dreams and help them, assist them in what they want to do. Because as a kid, I wouldn't know the first thing to do to break into voice acting or anything else. So, I was I was put into theater when I was 3 years old, and I was in chorus and ballet and
Wow.
swimming and, everything. So then, I was signed up at a casting agency when I was 5. And my first gig that I got was in The Godfather. So I was on screen, and that was amazing. That was a completely different experience. But, there are reasons why things end. And I just say to the parents, help the kids, listen to your kids and what they're really passionate about.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you guys both for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know, Duncan, that you had to take a break from your vacation, so we appreciate that. Melanie, we appreciate your insight. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for voicing 2 favorite characters of mine. Personally, I love Charlie Brown, love Lucy, especially when you're playing football. So thank you guys. And I hope to see you guys
My
around.
son's middle name is Charlie. So
Really?
yeah, my son's middle name is Charlie. Or Charles, but we call him Charlie sometimes. So yeah, that's funny.
Not Chuck.
That's true. No, but my dad actually, he's named after my dad too, and my dad's nickname was so that was one of my dad's nicknames growing up. So it's funny. There's the line through the generations right there of the residual effects from Peanuts right there. Yes, we really appreciate y'all being here, and absolutely, your Peanuts is epic, and just like I can't even imagine a world without it having been part of our lives for as long as I've known, as long as my parents it wasn't even a question of, do you know Peanuts? It was just like, okay, it's time for that one. All right.
Yeah.
Through the seasons.
That's how I knew that we had kind of made it into something special, is when I saw our names in the TV guide.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the newspaper.
That's awesome.
Definitely. And now you're going and signing at Astros games and Comic-Cons and, whatever pops up. But
yeah, and we hope today that somebody will come up with some clever idea where Melanie and I can get the band back together and do some voice acting again with something new.
Oh, like
that
actually would be an interesting idea right there.
Who knows?
Like a whole Peanuts con.
Like growing up, kind of remembering.
That would be, yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can ever do Peanuts growing up because that has that's
be
a slippery slope. But
okay, nowadays.
Actually, it would be kind of
nowadays. Yes, that would be.
We'll keep the innocence of Peanuts there.
That is true. That's true.
Right on.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. We'll be here next week. I'm not sure who the guest is. We'll get back to you on that one. But in the meantime, make sure to come out to Comic Conroe the 10th, 11th, and 12th, where Mombi and I will be running around. A little bit more probably me than her. She's probably a little bit easier to catch because I'll be running the floor as well. So yeah, I'll have fun running around like I usually do, but I enjoy it. But definitely Comic Conroe in Conroe, Texas. Huh?
Sorry?
Thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. Thank you guys for coming.
It was nice meeting you, Duncan.
Stuff in the beginning. Well, yeah.
See you soon, Melanie.
Yes.
In the meantime, so for today, Mombi.
Wands at the ready.
Mm-hmm.
And mischief managed.
Bye.
Good.